Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're really kind of putting on those look at it from all sides glasses like Hervey over at Life, as a trucker always says.
Right.
We're going to hit a few spots on the trucking map today, from new regulations to hot job markets to,
Yeah,
those real pain points that we all face out there, plus some cool tools to make the daily grind a little less grindy.
for sure.
So we've been digging through industry news, some stories from folks in trucking who are really carving their own path, and some solid advice to bring you what really matters. The
Absolutely.
goal here is to go beyond just scratching the surface,
Yeah.
and give you some real takeaways you can actually use.
Yeah, we've got a good mix of stuff here that I think gives a pretty clear picture of what's happening right now.
Right.
We're going to look at how those changes to the rules can really have a ripple effect on your routes, what the job scene looks like in one key state, the never-ending battle against staged accidents, some tech that can seriously change the game for you, and some things new drivers really need to know to avoid getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. First up, some good news for anyone running through South Dakota. As of April 10th, 2025, they've lifted those spring load restrictions on some highways.
Okay.
Now, for those who haven't run into this every spring when things thaw out, the roads can get a little soft. So they put these limits in place to protect the pavement. It's kind of like trying to drive a fully loaded rig across a muddy field.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Definitely not. So while the limits make sense to keep the roads in good shape for the long haul, they can be a real headache in the short term. Fewer routes because you have to stick to certain roads. You can't haul as much weight at once.
Right.
More trips, more fuel costs, and more time on the road for you.
Yeah, exactly. Those restrictions definitely make things more complicated for a while.
They do.
Mm.
But here's the good news. South Dakota says some of those highways are solid enough now to handle the normal weight limits again. And it's not a small change either. This means you can haul heavier loads, so you need fewer trips to move the same amount of freight, less time spent on detours, and a potential boost to your bottom line, especially if you're hauling ag products, bulk materials, or you're doing regional runs.
And the other thing to think about is the knock-on effect of that efficiency. I mean, it's not just saving you time and fuel, but it's also making better use of your hours of service.
That's a good point.
It really shows how managing your time effectively for those shippers can actually give you more time for yourself in the long run.
Absolutely. And we even saw some comments from South Dakota drivers, and you can just feel the relief.
Mhm.
One said, "About dang time. Those restrictions always seem to hit right when things get busy."
Yeah.
Another one said, "Finally, I don't have to split one big load into two smaller ones. That's saving me time and money right there."
Yeah, exactly.
It really highlights how these regulations directly impact their lives. And one driver even said they hope other states follow suit if this goes well in South Dakota.
That's a good point. Sometimes these localized changes can kind of set a precedent if they show clear benefits without messing up the infrastructure.
Right.
It makes you wonder if we'll see more states reevaluating those spring load limits as road construction and materials get better.
Now let's head south to Texas. Also, on April 10th, 2025, Workforce Solutions is holding a trucking and transportation job fair down in Mission. And this isn't just for experienced drivers.
Oh, yeah.
It's for anyone looking to get into the transportation industry. New CDL holders, mechanics, dispatchers, even warehouse folks.
That's an important thing to point out. I mean, the trucking industry is a huge machine with a lot of moving parts.
For sure.
It's not just about the person driving. You need a whole support system around that.
Right.
And right now in Texas, the demand for drivers is pretty high. You've got the older generation starting to retire.
Yeah.
And just the amount of stuff moving through the state means they need new people all the time.
So what can you expect at this job fair? Well, there should be recruiters from all kinds of companies, both local and national carriers, plus other transportation-related businesses. You can get help with those job applications, maybe some resume tips. And if you're looking to get into driving, some companies might even have info on paid CDL training programs.
The great thing about job fairs is the direct connection you can make. Instead of just firing off an application online, you can meet people face to face. Ask them about the company culture, the routes, the benefits packages. It gives you a better sense of whether it's a good fit.
Yeah, it's a more personal experience.
It is.
And the jobs they're advertising cover a lot of ground. Long-haul, regional, local deliveries. Even specialized stuff, like fuel hauling. Plus fleet mechanics, logistics, and admin support. It just shows you there's so many paths in trucking and transportation beyond driving a truck.
For sure.
And the source we looked at mentioned some different perspectives on the event.
Okay.
For someone brand new, it's a great chance to ask all those beginner questions. Experienced drivers could find better pay or more consistent home time. And for employers, it's a way to meet potential hires who are serious about working.
And these kinds of job fairs often highlight those little perks companies are offering to attract people right now.
Yeah, like what?
You might see sign-on bonuses, referral programs if you bring in other drivers' resources for veterans transitioning to civilian jobs or programs for people looking to re-enter the workforce.
Right.
And apprenticeships can be a great way to learn the ropes and build a career.
So if you're in Texas or even willing to travel a job fair like this could be a great way to explore your options, whether you're actively looking for a change, just starting out, or just curious about what's out there. It's about taking a little bit of your off-duty time to maybe invest in your future.
Yeah, and that ties back into managing your time for yourself.
Absolutely.
Using some downtime to check out new career paths or even just gather information that's a proactive way to take control of your professional journey.
Now let's talk about something a little less fun. Staged accidents. These crash-for-cash schemes are a real problem, and they can have some serious effects on your life. We're talking financial costs from lawsuits and insurance going up the hassle and lost income from being off the road, and even potential hits to your CDL record and future job prospects.
It's such an unfair situation, you know? You're out there doing a tough job, often under pressure to meet deadlines.
Yeah.
And then you get caught up in these scams that are designed to rip off insurance companies. The stress and the potential financial burden on drivers can be huge.
Well, there might be some good news on the horizon. There's a new bill that's trying to crack down on these staged accidents. It's focused on going after those organized groups that plan these things, offering more protection for drivers who become victims, and increasing federal oversight to help prosecute these crimes, especially when they cross state lines.
That federal piece is important because a lot of times these aren't just one-off incidents. They're often part of bigger networks that operate across multiple states. Giving federal law enforcement more power to investigate and prosecute those cases could really make a difference.
The source we looked at had a pretty wild story from Louisiana. It involved a big group of people who were staging a ton of crashes, and a bunch of them involved trucks. One driver said the other vehicle just came out of nowhere, and after the crash, the people in the other car got out holding their necks like they rehearsed it.
Wow.
It really shows you how calculated these scams can be.
Yeah, that really highlights the feeling of being targeted and how deliberate these actions are.
It's not just an accident. It's someone intentionally putting you in danger for their own financial gain.
Exactly.
As you can imagine, there are a lot of opinions on this new bill. Most drivers seem relieved that someone's finally taking this seriously. One quote even said, "About time." But some folks are worried that the bill could be misused and hurt people who are genuinely injured in accidents.
Right.
And of course, lawyers have different views.
Yeah.
Prosecutors are generally in favor they're used. Defense attorneys have some concerns about how far it could go.
It makes sense to look at this from all sides anytime new laws come into play.
Definitely.
The goal is to protect drivers and stop fraud, but you also have to make sure it's fair and doesn't punish people who really are injured.
The industry's response, especially from the American Trucking Associations, or ATA, has been strongly in favor. They've been pushing for more action on staged accidents for a while, especially after that big staged crash ring got busted a few years back. They said this bill gives law enforcement the tools to stop these criminals and protect drivers.
The ATA's support really shows how seriously the industry takes this issue. They see these staged accidents not just as a financial problem, but as a safety risk for their drivers.
For all of you on the road, this news is a good reminder to stay vigilant and protect yourself. The source really stressed the importance of having a dash cam in your truck.
Yeah.
It can be critical evidence if you're targeted by one of these scams.
A dash cam is a relatively small investment that can give you a lot of peace of mind.
It really is.
It's like having an unbiased witness in case something happens.
Okay, let's shift gears to something more positive. Some tools that can make life on the road a little smoother. We've got a list of the top 10 trucker gadgets that real drivers swear by.
I like this list.
Yeah, these aren't just fancy accessories. They're practical things that can make you safer, more comfortable, and even boost your earnings.
Exactly. These are gadgets that have been tested by drivers who are out there doing the job every day. They address some of the real challenges you face on the road.
So let's dive in. Number one is the Garmin Diesel OTR 700 GPS.
Yeah.
This isn't your typical car GPS.
Right?
It's made for truckers. So you put in your truck's size and weight, and it'll find routes that are safe, avoiding low bridges and weight restrictions. It also gives you live traffic and weather and has truck stops and weigh stations built in Verdict, saves you time, money, and potential damage to your truck.
A truck-specific GPS is almost essential these days.
I'd say so.
Getting sent down a road you shouldn't be on can cost you time, fuel, and a big fine.
Big time. Next up, the Blue Parrot B450 XT Bluetooth headset. A good headset is crucial for staying connected and hands-free, and the Blue Parrot is known for its noise cancellation, which is a lifesaver in a noisy cab. Plus, it has a long battery life and is comfortable for those long hauls. Verdict, you stay connected without all the background noise.
Yeah, clear communication is so important in this industry, and a good headset that blocks out the noise makes those important calls so much easier and safer.
Number 3 is the Roadcrow 12V portable stove. If you're tired of expensive and not-so-healthy truck stop food, this little stove lets you heat up your own meals right in your cab. It plugs into your 12V outlet. Verdict saves you money on food and gives you more control over what you're eating.
The savings on food can really add up over time.
They can.
And cooking your own meals is so much better for your health and well-being on the road.
For sure. Number 4 is a truck-specific dash cam. We already talked about how important those are. And a truck-specific model usually has features like a wider field of view to see more of what's happening around you and cloud storage in case something happens to the camera. For Verdict, you're silent witness on the road.
It's like having that unbiased video evidence in case anything happens. It can really protect you and your livelihood.
Absolutely. Number 5, the Trucker Path app Premium. This is more than just a mapping app. It gives you real-time info from other drivers about things like available parking spots, whether weigh stations are open or closed, and current fuel prices at different places. Verdict, it's like having a network of drivers give you up-to-the-minute intel.
That real-time info can save you so much time and hassle.
Yeah.
Knowing where to find parking, especially when you're getting close to your hours of service limit, is so valuable.
So true. Number 6, a high-quality mattress topper. Sleeping well on the road can be tough, but a good mattress topper can make a big difference in the quality of sleep you get in your bunk. Verdict, better sleep equals a safer and more alert driver.
Sleep is so important for safety and your overall health.
It really is.
Investing in your sleep environment is investing in yourself.
Number 7, a rechargeable magnetic work light. Whether you're doing a pre-trip inspection in the dark or dealing with a roadside repair, a hands-free work light is essential. The magnetic base means you can stick it anywhere. Verdict, it lights up those tricky tasks.
Good visibility is key for safety. And having a good work light means you can see what you're doing no matter what.
Number 8, a heavy-duty seat cushion. Spending hours behind the wheel can take a toll on your body, but a good seat cushion provides support and helps prevent aches and pains. Verdict, it makes those long hauls a little more bearable.
Driver comfort is so important for long-term health and well-being.
It is.
A good seat cushion can really reduce fatigue and discomfort.
Number 9, a collapsible laundry hamper or organizer life in a truck can get messy fast, so a hamper helps keep your dirty clothes contained. In your cab, a bit more organized. Verdict, a little tidiness can do wonders for your mental state.
It's true. Keeping your truck clean and organized can really help your mental clarity on those long stretches of road.
And finally, number 10, a portable power station. This is more than just a charger. It's a mobile power source that can charge everything from your phone and laptop to even small appliances without draining your truck's batteries.
Oh, wow.
Some even have solar charging options. Verdict, stay connected and powered up wherever you are.
That's pretty cool. Having a reliable power source on the road can be a game changer, especially if you're at a remote rest stop or need to power something important.
It's great that these aren't just random gadgets. They're based on what real truckers use and focus on things that can actually make your life better.
Yeah, and a lot of these can actually help you manage your time better, too.
How so?
Well, being able to cook your own meals so you don't have to wait at a crowded truck stop,
Right.
or having real-time information to plan your routes more efficiently, that all helps you make the most of your time.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about something that's super important, especially if you're new to trucking. Making sure you're treated fairly by the companies you work for. This piece we looked at, Young Truckers, Don't Let These Companies Play You, really highlights some of the challenges new drivers can face.
It's a crucial topic because, unfortunately, there are some companies out there that try to take advantage of drivers who are new and might not know the industry norms or their rights.
Exactly. One big problem they point out is bottom barrel pay, where new drivers might get offered much lower cents per mile rates with vague promises of raises later. The advice is to research average pay rates before you sign anything and ask recruiters specific questions about what other new drivers are actually making.
Yeah.
If the pay is way below average and there's no clear path for it to get better, that's a red flag.
You need to know your worth and not be afraid to negotiate or walk away if an offer isn't fair. There are resources online and through driver networks that can help you figure out what a reasonable starting wage should be.
That's good advice. Another problem is getting stuck with what they call garbage routes and dead-end loads, those less desirable runs that experienced drivers avoid. The advice here is to ask about what kind of freight you'll be hauling and where you'll be going before you take the job. It's also smart to keep track of your loads and compare what you were told to what you're actually doing.
Yeah, and if it seems like you're always getting the worst runs, you need to talk to your dispatcher.
Open communication is key.
It is. You have a right to understand your assignments and make sure you're getting paid fairly for the work you're doing and the routes you're running.
The article also talks about training that feels more like free labor, where some companies might drag out the training with low pay, not really to teach you, but to save money. The advice is to get clearer details about the training length and the pay up front. If it feels like you're not learning anything and just being used for cheap labor, speak up.
A good training program should be an investment in your skills and development, not just a way for a company to get cheap labor. You should be actively learning and getting good feedback.
Then there's the issue of binding contracts for free CDL school.
Right.
Getting your CDL for free sounds great,
Right.
but these contracts often lock you into working for that company for a long time, and if you leave early, you could have to pay back a lot of money. The advice: read those contracts very carefully and understand all the terms, especially what happens if you leave early. It might be better to look into other CDL training options that don't tie you down like that.
You really need to understand the true cost of that free CDL.
Yeah.
Sometimes paying for your own training or going through a different program gives you more flexibility and control over your career in the long run.
Finally, the article warns about promises that magically disappear after orientation. Those tempting offers from recruiters that vanish once you start the job. The best advice: get everything in writing. If it's not documented, it's hard to hold the company accountable later. Don't be afraid to ask questions and get those important details in your employment agreement.
Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Having everything in writing gives you a record of what was agreed on, and it can help if any problems come up later.
The message here is clear. Just because you're new to trucking doesn't mean you have to be taken advantage of. Be informed, ask questions, know your worth, and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself.
Exactly.
And all of this goes back to managing your time effectively.
Right.
By avoiding those situations where you're underpaid or stuck on bad routes, you're not just making more money, you're protecting your time and your future. And like we've mentioned before, thinking about how you use your off-duty time to learn new skills or even explore online income opportunities like Life as a Trucker and retirefromtrucking.com talk about can give you more security and options down the road.
That's a smart approach. Being proactive about building your skills and checking out different ways to earn income is all about taking control of your future. It's about not relying on just one source of income and building a strong foundation for financial well-being and career flexibility.
So to wrap up our deep dive, we've covered a lot from the lifted load limits in South Dakota that could mean more efficient hauls and more time for you now. The job fair in Texas, with chances for career growth and maybe a better work-life balance. We looked at cool gadgets that can make your life easier and safer and highlighted some things new drivers need to watch out for to make sure they're treated fairly. Always remember to know your worth and manage your time wisely.
Yeah, we've seen how changes in regulations, the job market safety concerns, and the realities of life on the road are all connected and how they directly affect you as drivers. It really shows how important it is to look at these things from different angles, just like Hervey from Life, as a trucker says, so you can make good decisions and navigate your career.
That brings us to our final thought. Think about how those daily experiences and challenges you face on the road aren't just obstacles. They're chances to learn and grow. The skills you're developing, your discipline, your problem solving, your understanding of logistics, those can be stepping stones to other opportunities both in and maybe even outside of trucking. What small steps can you take today, even in your downtime, to work towards your long-term goals and build a more secure and fulfilling future?
It's about recognizing that your time in trucking, no matter how long it is, can be a valuable chapter that gives you the experience and skills to pursue even bigger things later on.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We hope you got some useful information and something to think about. Until next time, drive safely and stay informed.